I'm show you how great I am. Great I am. Alright, how's it going, everybody? My name is Infamous Isaac, and I'm here with a video on FGO. It's been a little bit since I talked about the story for this game, but that's because the story updates didn't come out until recently. Early this June, a story update came out, LB6, and I'm going to be talking about that today. I'm going to be talking about part 1. So, this is going to be part 1. Part 2 will, well, this video will release when part 2 comes out and when I finish it, so you guys will see it then. But regardless, let me get into the non-spoilers for part 1. Part 2 will have non-spoilers as well, so I'm going to say right off the bat, this Lost Belt, this first half of this Lost Belt is amazing. Again, I'm not going to get into deep into the spoilers until that section comes up, but it's awesome. I can't recommend enough to catch up to the story now if you're playing this game already. LB6 is the best story content we've gotten from FGO to this day, and it's only the first half. This content is amazing. I am literally so invested in this story right now. The characters, the world, the story going on, the stakes. Kinoko Nasu really was cooking when he wrote this, and everybody who helped write, bro. Literally some of the best storytelling I've seen in a mobile game, and honestly, some games, period. Like, visual novels just have such a way of grabbing you if they're really, really good. And since this is a visual novel slash mobile game, such a gacha game, it grabs me. It really, really grabs me. And I just can't talk about it enough. I'm not gonna rate it until the second part of the Lost Belt comes out, which should be in like a couple days from when I'm recording this. Right now, things are looking good. Things are looking really good. I cannot talk about this enough without getting into spoilers. So just know, if I had to rate it right now, it would be a 9.5, but that's only for the first part. The second part still hasn't come out yet. It's not a full rating, but it's good. It's great. It's awesome. I love it. Best story in the game so far. But regardless, let me get into the spoilers. So, as per usual, let me say that I am going to be talking about spoilers for Lost Bolt 1, or excuse me, not Lost Bolt 1, Lost Bolt 6 Part 1, and then when the other part comes out, Lost Bolt 6 Part 2. I am going to give a warning for that as well when I put it in. But for right now, just know that there will be spoilers, so be forewarned. Regardless, Lost Belt 6 Part 1. Where do I begin? Well, let me just say that the stakes are already set from the beginning. We get introduced back to, so I cut this part out really badly, but it's supposed to say we get introduced back to Novum Chaldea, where they're residing currently for the Lost Belts. Where we have Sion basically telling everybody like, yo, the Earth is gonna die. Like everybody's gonna die in 24 hours. So what we need you to do is you need to go to Lost Belt 6, Britain, when we thought we weren't going to go there. And everybody was like, but why are we going there now, right? And it's because the Lost Belt is going to implode in itself and it's going to end the entire world. It's a whole different phenomenon from what the bleaching the world was in like the beginning of the Lost Belts, or incinerating the world like in the singularities, right? It says this is the most pressing problem that we need to deal with now. This is why we're in Lost Belt 6 instead of immediately Lost Belt 7 with David, right? We all get ready. Well, as many people as that can get ready. Sion's staying back because she has to stay with Trimajestus the second. Everybody else gets ready, so all of Novum Chaldea goes into Lost Belt 6, right? So, for a head count, basically the people that are going are Da Vinci, Holmes, Gordolf, all the members, including Munier. You have Mash, Captain. You actually have Nemo going as well, all of his crew, and your master, right? That's all that are going. And we get to Lost Boat 6. We land on, not on shore, but we land in the sea. And the main problem arises. Holmes, Nemo, and none of the other members can go except for Da Vinci, Mash, and the Master, right? The Master's already used to this. He's been through this. He's the goat himself, or herself, depending on which gender you choose. Or themselves, depending on if you have no gender. They, it's not a feature, but at the end of the day, whatever you want your character to identify as is whatever you want them to identify as, right? Da Vinci isn't affected by what's going on in the Lost Belt because servants here, they just feel bad. They feel sick. Like Nemo and Holmes, just they can't handle it right now. And Gordolf or nobody else is outfitted for combat like the Master is, right? Or Ritsuka or Fujimaru. I'm just gonna say Fujimaru because that is their default name. Those three go out and they immediately, problems arise, right? So they land on part of the island where it's the basically like a forgetful woods. The deeper you go in, the more you forget, right? It's kind of like Castle Oblivion, right? They all get separated. Immediately, they all just get separated. And our character ends up in a forest, right? In a forest with a bunch of fairies, and they have their own little village. They're all chilling. And what we find out, this village is basically for outcasts, right? And so we have a servant with us. We have Tristan, the knight from Camelot, because we summoned them unintentionally too when we first landed. And so it's Tristan and the master right now, Fujimaru. And we see Artoria, Artoria Caster. So Artoria Caster is basically a member of this Lost Belt. She was born in this Lost Belt. And this is Britain. This Lost Belt is Britain. So Morgan Le Fay, all these people are here from Britain. And Artoria Caster is just here as well because she forgot who she was. She calls herself Mash. She isn't Mash. We don't know why she called herself that, but we'll probably learn later on. And everybody just forgot, right? For the first couple of these nodes, you just forget who you are. The name that you're given if you when you arrive at the village, if you're a male, your name is Lysander, and if you're a female, your name is Hermia. So I thought that was just hilarious, but I had to mention that. I couldn't continue the video without mentioning Lysander the goat. So you wake up in the village, and for the next couple of days, you're there. You live as Lysander and Tristram, which is his name. Just take Tristan, but take the N away and put an M instead, and Mash, which is just Artoria, right? And so you're living in his village. Everybody's loving you. You're having a great time, and then through the days of you living in the village, you remember who you are, right? You all remember who you are, and you realize like, oh shoot, like I'm a human. I can't be here, right? And so the villagers find out that you're a human and they basically want to kill you, right? Because they can use you as energy to stay alive and for their purpose, right? And fairies in this world are just crazy because they have a lot of purpose. If you die, it's because you lost your purpose or because you were killed or because you got turned into a Moor, which is basically like a creature of energy. It's weird to explain. There's a lot of lore in this Lost Belt that I can't go over in this video alone because to go over that would make this video like 2 hours long, and it's just a lot to remember. You all escape the village. A village gets raised basically because all of them just kill themselves through fighting to try to get to Fujimaru, right? You all manage to escape and you meet somebody. You meet Oberon, right? And Oberon is one of the main servants that's going to be helping you out through your journey, right? He's a fairy king from Midsummer's Dream, I think is what it's called. So after they get taken out of the forest, then they go over to Salisbury, which I'll explain in a second. So we have the other side of the story, right? Where we see Mash, and Mash is in a whole different part of Britain, right? She gets found by three goblins, and they're gonna sell her, but the longer that they stay with her, the more they start to like her, and so they give her the name Anise, and she's just traveling with those three goblins, right? And that's the first fragment. I'll explain the other one later when it comes up. But next we go to Salisbury, right? And this is just one of the towns in Britain. Britain's basically ruled by Morgan Le Fay, aka King Arthur's sister. There's Morgan herself. There's the So I had to come in and edit this, but after Morgan, you have the Tamlin Fairy Knights, who are Tamlin Tristan, which is Morgan's daughter, Tamlin Bargus, the Black Dog, and Tamlin Lancelot, the most beautiful knight of all, apparently. After that, you have the lords that rule over each town. So you have Gloucester. I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm sorry if I'm butchering it. You have Salisbury, you have Norwich, you have Sheffield, you have Camelot, all this stuff, right? All these people rule over it. But Salisbury is one of them, and Aurora is the one that rules over it. So we all go to Salisbury. We find Da Vinci here because she works at an inn, right? And she got her memory. She recognizes who she is, right? So she's working at an inn basically to pass the time, get money, and get info on where everybody is, right? And so when she finds us, she's like, "Oh, yo, Fujimaru, you're alive. Great, let's get it." I don't know where Mash is, but this is basically what's going on, right? So she learned a lot about the information on fairies, how they operate, and even though this place seems like it's advanced, it's not. It's basically fairies trying to imitate what human civilization is, because humans exist in this world. It's just that humans are treated more as pets and slaves than they are actual companions or people, you know? So that's why fairies try to imitate them. And there's just a huge array of ways people are treated in this Lost Belt, right? You can either be treated as cattle, you can be treated as slaves, you can be treated as pets, you can be treated as equals, right? And it depends on which town you go to. Aurora in Salisbury treats humans as equals. So basically, while they're in Salisbury, Oberon goes around trying to find more information, and they're just chilling there for a couple days, right? The main goal is basically to get an audience with Aurora because her and Oberon are pretty close, so he can get good with her. They do get the audience eventually. They're training, they're learning more about fairy Britain and all this stuff, and they get the audience with Aurora. They talk to her, and she's basically like, "Yo, I'll help you guys out. I'll help you find Mash and all that, but I can't help you because what we learn is that Artoria is the child of prophecy, and she's meant to be the one to take down Morgan Le Fay because it was prophesized by one of the lords before we got here. She can't help Artoria. She knows that she's the child of prophecy, but she can't, right? That goes against Morgan and all that. So instead, she's like, hey, if you can do this, I'll help you find your friend Mash, and if you prove it to me, you are the child of prophecy, like really, really, I'll let you ring the bell because she has to toll like 6 bells for each city and then go to Camelot and all this stuff to beat Morgan. Crazy stuff. They're waiting there for a couple more days, and we get a message basically like, hey, we think we know where your friend Mash is, right? It's a ranch basically. So the farm is basically a ranch for where humans are kept as slaves near Salisbury. It's not in Salisbury, but it's run by other people. And so we're here to find Mash. It doesn't turn out well. We managed to free a lot of people, but Gawain shows up. Fairy Knight Gawain. This is our first sighting of a Fairy Knight, right? So she's super strong. We can't handle her because all we have is Da Vinci and Artoria, right? And Tristan as well. I forgot to mention Tristan. He's still here. So when she's fighting us, we just can't handle her. She's too strong, right? And so Tristan does a sacrificial play where he sacrifices himself to let us get away, right? Because when Gawain showed up, she just killed almost every soldier that was there because we had rebel knights there as well. Not a part of Salisbury, but a part of another group. That Percival, the Camelot knight himself, like the servant, runs, right? And so we're gonna have to go and run into him at some point. But we basically get off by the skin of our teeth, right? And Oberon shows up because he was a little late, and because we didn't tell him that we were leaving, right? We were just like, let's go do this right now and all this stuff, blah 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 blah, right? Oberon shows up with a horse, the horse servant in this game. I forgot his name, but in this one, they managed to get away, and now they're fugitives on the run. They can't go back to Salisbury, right? So the next spot is a fragment, another fragment with Mash, Kira Light, right? And so we continue with their journey where she's still traveling with the three goblins and they're just talking. They're talking about the world, all this stuff. And she's just a super nice girl. She's always been like this, but now that she doesn't have her memories, she's just really kind. Her inherent values are still with her, right? She didn't forget those. And so she basically activates her Camelot armor since she's still Galahad's demi-servant. Or, well, Galahad is still her demi-servant. And the goblins basically find that, yo, she's kind of like a knight. She's kind of as strong as a fairy knight as well. They go to bring her to Sheffield, right? To sell her off and get some money. Winky, which is the smart one, doesn't wants to because he wants his money and then he wants to dip. And then the two brothers don't want to because they really like her. That's the end of the fragment. Now we go to Gloucester. This is another town, and this one's basically like, hey, no fighting. The Lord herself wants this town to be a town of no fighting, just pure and utter aesthetic and just auctioning and buying stuff, right? It's like a market. And so we get there, and the main goal is we hear that Mash is here, right? Or at the very least, that someone with an iron weapon is here. And since she has an iron shield, we're like, oh shoot, she's here. So they basically find a way to get an auction ticket through Oberon, and we beat another one of the Fairy Knights or Tamlin Knights, whichever you prefer, in Tristan. Tristan is a very snooty, uptight, and pampered girl. One of my friends told me that like, hey, give her a chance, because he's seen some of this and he really likes her. So he says to trust the process and just believe that her development will be good. but I will say I don't like her. As of right now, I don't like her. We meet her. She doesn't know that Artoria is the child of prophecy, but we go to the auction and Oberon has 77 million counterfeit dollars. So we're gonna use that, but he has to use them last because if they find out that they're counterfeit, he's gonna go to prison. One thing about Oberon, he's actually a king of a certain part of this Britain because he's a servant. He's not born from Britain. He is a servant, right? And so he got here like 2 months earlier, probably summoned by the counterforce or something. And he's just been surveying, learning, scouting, doing everything he possibly can in Britain, right? It's just super cute moments going on between Oberon and Artoria. Oberon likes to tease her, kind of like Merlin, and Artoria just can't handle it, so she gets a little frustrated. She's super competitive. Da Vinci and Fujimaru are just there having a good time. Their little group that they have built together is so cute. I love it, man. It's so awesome. And then you have the fragment stuff going on as well. It's so cute because I love the goblins and how they treat Mash. First, they're scum, right? Like they don't seem like anything, but then you get to learn that they're just people trying to survive. They're not evil people. It's just that they have to do what they have to do to live, you know? It's their skins or it's yours, you know? The auction's going on. We bid for this person, right? We find out that the person isn't Mash, but it's Senju Muramasa. Not the Shimosa Senju Muramasa, but the alter ego foreign god Senju Muramasa. We bid for him because even though this isn't the Senju Muramasa that we knew, it's still somebody that we know we care for. We're gonna help them out, right? We're gonna get them out of this pickle. And so we bid for them, and Artoria just bids right away all the money that we have, all the counterfeit money that we have. And she even starts bidding some important things, right? And Tristan comes in and she bids as well. The leader of what's it called of Gloucester comes in and she's just like, yo, all right, to settle this debate, you two both use magic, so we'll have a magic battle. You versus her, Tristan versus Artoria, right? They duel in the battle, and Tristan has magic items, but they don't work. And so Artoria wins because she actually knows magic, right? She frees Muramasa, and now Murian, who is the leader of Gloucester, is like, "Yo, I gotta talk to you guys for a second. Come with me, right?" And so we go to her house and we meet her. She looks like BB a little bit, and so basically she's just like, "Yo, I'm happy to help you guys out. You know, it is what it is, right?" We're like, "Oh, that's so cool. That's nice." And then she's like, "But I have one important thing to mention. I have one benefactor here, right?" We see it's Konya Skanya. She's still here, right? And she changed her outfit again. She's kind of like Bulma in Dragon Ball. But regardless, we hate her. We just don't like her because you gotta remember, before Lostbelt 1 in the prologue, she killed everybody. Like, she literally killed everybody in Chaldea. The only people left were Fujimaru, Mash, Gordolf, Holmes, and Da Vinci's homunculus. So it stands to reason that we hate her. Oberon, who doesn't even know who she is just basically like, yeah, I don't want to do business with you anymore, Murian. You can keep that. The reason is because he hates Konyaskaya. Like, he doesn't know why, but he genuinely just cannot stand Konyaskaya. She's evil, right? And so he's just like, don't you ever speak to me. Don't you ever talk to me, look at me, even think about me. I hate you. And I don't want no part of you, right? And so we cut, and it basically is just like, yeah, Murian just told us to get out. Well, she's not going to cooperate with us. Da Vinci and Oberon basically both knew Miriam was never going to be our ally. She was just trying to use us. So even if we allied with her, we would have had to fight her at some point. So it's better off that we just don't ally with her, especially if she has Konya Skanya. So they leave Gloucester and they go to Oberon's domain, the one that I was talking about. It's called the Forest of Wales, actually. Like Wales. But regardless, then we go to Fragment 3, which is in Sheffield, right? And Sheffield, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, it's a long one because it's multi-part, so it's gonna be a long one. But Sheffield, we basically get introduced to the city, and we learn about the leader Bogart. He used to be the leader of Norwich before he got kicked out. Excuse me, Spriggan, and now he's trying to cause a revolt against Morgan and save Norwich, right? So he has a bunch of people that follow him, and the goblins sell mash. So, sorry to cut in again, but the goblins sell Mash to Lord Bogart so that she can become his new wife, right? Because she seems strong enough to be able to handle him and be her equal, right? He has had like 60 wives at this point. And with certain events that happen in the future, it's kind of sad thinking about it, about the other previous woman that used to be married to him and why they're not here anymore. Bogart isn't a good person. Bogart has some redeeming qualities, but he is in no way, shape, or form a good person or a hero. He is a gray character for sure, to say the least. They sell her off. Winky goes his own separate ways. He leaves the two brothers in Sheffield. They decide to stay here because of a niece who's now known as Mash because we find out that her name is literally on the shield. A wolf has been following her this whole time to protect her. We'll find out who that is later. But regardless, Sheffield is basically just like Mash becoming a queen. We get to meet Habitrot, who is a servant. She makes dresses, she makes wedding dresses, she makes clothes, right? And so she made clothes for Mash to basically be Bogart's wife, and all she really has to do is just do nothing, right? But she doesn't want to do anything or do nothing because she wants to help out the citizens of Sheffield, right? Mash is a good queen. She's a proactive queen and she wants to help people, right? She's strong too. So she can do anything that Bogart can basically. And she has the black barrel, the gun that they use for Olympus. You'll see how that comes into play later. But regardless, she's helping out and there's this one scene where Bogart basically this is kind of explicit, so like be warned. If you don't want to hear it, then like skip like maybe like 1 to 2 minutes ahead. I'll try my best to get over it as quickly as possible. But Bogart basically tries to get on Mash. He tries to come onto Mash and not realizing what he's trying to do because it's, for lack of better words, he's basically trying to have sex with her, right? And Mash, not realizing what's happening, instinctually, she knocks him off and sends him flying through the castle doors, sending him all the way to the ground. And the soldiers think that, oh, is there an invasion going on? What's happening? And he's like, nothing. Don't tell a word, a soul about what's happening. And her being a nice soul, a gentle, kind soul, she's like, yo, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And then Bogart's just basically bad mouthing her all the time, not understanding why she's so loyal to him. Because he expects all the women that he loves with or loves to hate him because he's a terrible person. He is genuinely a terrible person. But we're basically just seeing how Sheffield is being developed and growing and how this is going to be a spot where revolution happens, right? Because Bogart is trying to have that happen. And we're just learning a lot more lore. And I can't stress this enough. Sheffield is so expansive, right? Like all these all of this Lostbelt is just so expansive because there's so much lore and history. And one thing that Da Vinci mentioned is that this isn't like Lost Boats where human history diverges at a certain point. This just this isn't human history. This isn't human history at all. From what we can tell, this isn't the same world that we lived in, where it just diverged at a certain point. No, this is completely different. This is why this world has so much deep and developed history in it because it's not our own. It has to be a different one. So by this point in the story, we're back with the main cast, and we're just leaving Gloucester, and Muramasa's with us now. Muramasa stays because he's loyal to Artoria, because she basically saved him, and he likes the way that he likes the cut of her jib, basically, right? And so on the way, we see a couple of fairies who try to mug one or mug some people, right? Or at least that's what we think, right? But Artoria, being the good soul that she is, goes to help him because she doesn't think it's a scam. They were actually right. It wasn't a scam, and so they help him out and they go to Wales. They're having a good time there. They're chilling, and lo and behold, we actually meet Gareth, like the knight from Camelot, and she's summoned here as a servant basically. And so the reason why she wants to join Artoria is because she saw what she did in Gloucester, and she's like, "Yo, I even saw what you did with the people that were in danger. You're a genuinely good person. You are the child of prophecy. So I'm going to believe in you, right? I'm going to trust in you, and I want to follow you." And so everybody's just like, "Yeah, shoot, by all means, you know." Like Artoria has imposter syndrome, so she feels like, "Hey, you know, maybe I shouldn't be the one." But you know, like it Everybody's there to support her, and they all believe in her because they know she's the child of prophecy. There's nobody else who it could be. Oberon's just basically talking to them, like learning about everything that's going on in the world. Norwick is getting worse and worse. Sheffield is holding a rebellion. The rebels themselves are just chilling. Morgan's chilling. Salisbury is hostile. We can't go there anymore. Gloucester, we can't go there anymore. We only have like a few spots that we can go, right? And the goal that we decide to end up on is Norwich because Norwich has a giant dark cloud over it, and it's gonna be a calamity, right? A calamity is basically like happens once every 100 years, and a great calamity happens once every or not decade, every millennia, right? They decide that because the prophecy basically foretold it, we're going to Norwich so that Artoria could do something and she could be proved that she's the child of prophecy basically. So they get ready to head off to Norwich, right? So they also had to decide to head to Norwich because they think that Mash is there as well. They think that she would be there because they hear that another child of prophecy is there and they think that it's Mash, right? Because they already have Muramasa. Somebody else with an iron weapon can't be him, right? They start heading off to Norwich, right? We go to fragment number 4, Sheffield Part 2. And this is where things just get wild, right? Because we learn about what's going to happen to Sheffield. Bogart wants to start a war with the Queen, right? And we have Winky, the goblin that left. He goes to Barrel Gut, who he's one of the cryptors, right? And at this point, Kirshtari is dead. Ophelia is dead. The ancestor, I forgot her name, Akita, she's dead. Pepperoncino isn't dead, so we can leave him out of that. And Kadak isn't dead. We have him captured in Chaldea. So Beryl and David are the only cryptors left that have their own lost belts, right? Beryl is Morgan's master. So Winky sells that information to Beryl, and he's killed for it because Beryl's a no good scumbag, right? Like he's actually horrible. So we cut back to Sheffield because now the imminent war is going to happen whether Bogart's ready or not. And so Tristan, Gawain, and Lancelot are all there, right? And with a whole army ready to take down Sheffield. They're ready to kill everybody or to have everybody surrender, right? And so Bogart and Mash notice this, and Bogart's just basically like, yo, leave, go, do not stay here. And he tells all the citizens, like, yo, do not leave. We can handle this. This is our war to win, even if there's 3 fairy knights, right? Because morale is low because of that. Sheffield is an all out war zone, right? So Bogart grabs hold of the black barrel that Mash had. Since she doesn't know what it is and she hates using it, she left it there. And Bogart picked it up and it destroyed a good portion of the castle. And the way that the writers describe the pure chaos and pandemonium that was left in its wake was genuinely horrifying. It was so well written. Oh my gosh, my eyes were glued to the screen for every paragraph. It was awesome. But it's not enough to defeat the knights that are coming after him. Tristan and Beryl go to attack Bogart. Mash is helping out a bunch of citizens, basically try to help them evacuate because Sheffield is gonna fall. There's no way that it isn't, right? She's helping them evacuate, but then she notices that Bogart is being attacked, right, and that he might die. So even though he hasn't been the best person, she still goes to help him, right? Because that's still her husband. And Habitrot follows her because she's basically just attached to Mash at this point. They're one and the same. Goes to help him out. Beryl, knowing who Mash is, no matter if she has her memories or not, that she's always going to help somebody no matter who they are. He throws Bogart off of the building and she goes to rescue her. And Beryl and Tristan leave because it's like, yeah, we don't need to do anything. Sheffield's gonna fall. We don't need to kill her because Morgan also said like don't kill her. So they leave. Sheffield's gonna die. Like it's done. It's cooked. Mash and Bogart manage to escape. Everybody's escaping as best as they can. We find out that the wolf is actually so we find out that the white wolves that have been following MASH for all of the fragments so far are actually connected to Crewcaster. They aren't him. I did have a misunderstanding with that, so that's why I'm re-recording this section. He helps defend against Lancelot. Mash manages to escape with Bogart. The two goblins manage to let them escape because they stood at the gate that was gonna lock Sheffield in and out of places. So they had to sacrifice themselves for them to get out, right? So God earns his souls to the good for the two good goblin brothers. They were the two best people in this story. Everybody escaped Sheffield, as many civilians and ferries that they could get out. And Bogart, since he's heavily injured, like super, super heavily injured, he's on his deathbed. He's talking to Mash and all of them, and everybody's just mourning the loss of Bogart. He wasn't a good person, but sometimes he could be, you know? Sometimes he could be. But regardless, that's the end of Sheffield. Yeah, Mash is going to Norwich, and she's basically just going to continue her prophecy, right? To free Norwich from the calamity that's about to ensue, right? We're basically on pace to meet up with her, right? We show up to Norwich, and this is the final part of the story for right now, where we show up and we actually see her. She's being trotted around as the child of prophecy, and Spriggan using this as his own way to capitalize on that. He's just basically like, yeah, we're gonna keep the child of prophecy in our castle. She wants to help, but she can't. So yeah, we're gonna keep her there to keep her safe. Fujimaru goes up to Mash, like pure desperation, and just talks to her, right? Mash, it's you. And she doesn't recognize him because her memories still haven't come back. And so she's crying, even though she doesn't know why. But deep down, she knows. They take her away. He can't do anything about it. But Oberon and him had a talk all the way back in Wales where it's like, what are you going to do if she doesn't get her memory back? And he's like, I don't know, but I'm going to try regardless. One of the people in Norwich, he's known as the Count, calls in for Da Vinci and Fujimaru, and then we find out the Count is actually Count Pepperone, aka Count Pepperoncino, and he's the fourth cryptor, aka Lostbelt 4, right? And so we're talking to him. We trust him dearly because he's helped us out time and time again. Pepperoncino is just basically like, hey, let's let me help you out. My enemy is Beryl. Even though we think that he's doing it for Kirshdaria, we agree that like yeah, he's doing it for Beryl as well, like to kill Beryl, right? They come to another truce, another temporary alliance. They wait a day. They slept. They had a good time. All this stuff, and calamity striking Norwich, right? We all go out and we're ready to just fight because the Moors are attacking Muramasa, Gareth, Oberon, Da Vinci, and Artoria are all fighting. Fujimaru's trying his best, but he just can't keep up with the servant energy. We're trying, but then we see Mash and Habitat go out and fight, and so now we get a second wind. And Fujimaru goes to help Mash, and she goes to defend Norwich because the calamity is gonna crash into it and destroy it, right? Fujimaru goes to Mash last second, gives her as much energy as he can, and they defend Norwich because she uses Lord of Camelot, right? Round of Camelot. They stand the test. They win. They defend Norwich, and now Norwich is in their good graces wholeheartedly, right? The Child of Prophecy defended Norwich. At least that's what they see, right? Artoria didn't do much, and she believes that she isn't the Child of Prophecy if Mash did that by herself with Fujimaru's help. We quell her doubts. Like, listen, you're the Child of Prophecy. No matter what happens, you'll have your time to shine. Even if it was not now, we're here because you are the Child of Prophecy. So don't worry. So Mash regains her memories because of that act of courage from Fujimaru, and they're so happy together. They all come together. They're having a good time. And Morgan uses her water mirror to take Mash away and bring her to Camelot. And as soon as we get her, we lose her. So now we're just sitting here like, wow, great, she's gone. Again, great. That's basically where the story ends. We're reeling from what happened in Norwich, and Spriggan is just basically like, yeah, I'll help you guys out. You guys helped me in Norwich. You guys defended Norwich. How can I not be grateful? They come to an agreement that even though Norwich has a bell, they're not gonna ring it. If they were, that would basically be a declaration of war towards Morgan, and they're not ready for that yet. And Morgan actually invites them to the castle. So that's where we're gonna pick up next time. The invitation towards Morgan's castle. And that's where the story ends for part one. This story so far is amazing, genuinely amazing. I just can't wait to continue part two. The characters are so fun and lovable. Like Oberon has been such a great surprise, and my theory is that I don't think he's all that he's cut out to be. Not like envy, but in the sense like I have a feeling he's not a good guy. I don't know why. I don't know why, but something just rubs me wrong about Oberon. If he isn't, then that's even better because I don't want him to be a bad guy. That's just my thoughts on it right now, right? Altoria, she's great. She meshes really well with the characters. For being the substitute for Mash for a good part of the story, she really fleshed out and became her own character. So I enjoy that. Like, I'm not saying that to degrade Artoria or to put Mash on a pedestal. It's just that we don't have Mash, you know. She's the closest thing that we have to a servant that can help us out. You have Gareth and Muramasa. They're really great as well. They're just super cute. Muramasa, you know, we saw him in Shimosa, and I thought he was great there. But here, he's even better. Have Da Vinci and Fujimaru who really mesh well with each other and also just the characters because they have so much time to spend with them. And we have 50 days, 45 to 50 days until the Lost Belt collapses. So we're really running out of time. Like we probably have like 10 to 15 days left because we spent a lot of time. I mean, Fujimaru was unconscious for like 10 days, and if I had to guess, we probably have like 10 to 15 days spent just wandering Britain and all that, and we're not even done yet, right? The music is great, the story is great, the story beats are amazing. Like I can't stress this enough. There's only half of the story, but man, it's phenomenal. It's truly phenomenal. I have more to say about it, but I'll leave that for the rest of the video. Hey, so this is me talking to you guys from the future because I recorded this like 3 weeks ago. So I just completed Act 2 and I'm gonna go record that, but I'm gonna release Act 1 as its own video because Act 2 is way too long to be included into this video. This video is already almost 40 minutes long. And then there's an Act 3 coming July 10th, so it's just like, yeah, this video is not gonna be one whole thing. So this is gonna come out first, then the other two. So I'm sorry for the confusion, but yeah, be excited for that. I'm super excited. There's so much to talk about. But yeah, I'll see you guys in part 2.